Hi, in this week's Fatherhood video, I'll be showing some examples of swaddling. So here I have my son Marcus with me, and I'll be playing a couple video clips here on how we swaddle our son after we brought him home from the hospital. When you're at the hospital, the nurse will help you out, but once you're home, you really don't have that support there. And one of our friends got us a product called SwaddleMe. It is good. It made swaddling much easier, much simpler, but we stopped using it for a couple of reasons, which I'll cover at the end of the video. And in the second part of the video, I'll show swaddling using receiving blankets. That's probably the more common, more traditional way of swaddling a child. So swaddling is very important because your child, they like to be bundled up. The newborns, they like to be bundled up. And I know, at least with Marcus, he felt more secure that way. And if we do bundle him up properly and his hands aren't just flailing around, he sleeps longer too. So check out these videos. So when Marcus was first born, we didn't really know how to swaddle him properly. So it was a good thing that one of my wife's friends got us the SwaddleMe. Over here's the SwaddleMe, and it's pretty simple to use. Just place the child here, put his feet into this pouch right here. Everything is Velcro here. So first one, you pull this over here. This Velcro sticks on this side. Tuck his hands in. It's also pretty elastic, so you can stretch it. Then tuck this one. Tuck it here and tuck it here. Now he's all bundled up. Unfortunately, our child is a bit too big now. His height is 24 inches, even though he's only 8 weeks. So we don't use a SwaddleMe anymore. We just swaddle just with a receiving blanket. So with the receiving blanket, we take it and we just fold a corner here. I'm going to show two ways of swaddling with a receiving blanket. We place his neck over here. It's just about the center of the length of this receiving blanket. First, pull this over here, take this side, tuck it underneath him. Over here, we can just take this, pull it to his shoulder. Now I take my right side, fold it over, and that's it. This was what was taught to us in the newborn care class. But with this method, we found that Marcus's hands kept coming out. So while we're at the hospital after birth, and one of the nurses showed us another way to swaddle our child. Bless you. So the other way to swaddle him is we fold it here, we hold it right here along the buttons, the center of his chest. Then we basically make a V. So it's from shoulder to his chest area, center of his chest, fold up to his other shoulder, and we fold it underneath. So now it's like a V. And on this side, similar. But the point is that once it's in a V position, it's a lot more difficult for his hands to come out. Now, swallowing this piece, folding this piece up or not, sometimes you would, sometimes you wouldn't. In the case of our son, he's always more comfortable when his feet are like this in this position. So a lot of times we would fold this upward. But if he's taking a nap or anything and we don't want to, we just want to swaddle him very quickly, very fast, we just do a quick swaddle right here and put him into bed. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. As you saw in the video, I demonstrated how we used the SwaddleMe. So the SwaddleMe was very helpful in the beginning because my wife and I, we didn't really know how to swaddle our son properly. And it was very cheap. The unit only costs about $15 to $20 when you purchase it online. It's Velcro. It's elastic. You can easily stretch it to wrap around your child. And now for some of the cons. I'm not sure what material it was made out of, but it caused our son to sweat. And even though it's pretty cold here, so our son was born in October, and he would just still sweat every night, because when we pick him up in the morning or pick him up after overnight for his overnight feeding, we saw that on his back. It was just wet. So we were also worried that because it's wet and he's sweating, he might get sick sooner. The pediatrician booklet told us that a child liked to be kept around 68 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. So with the SwaddleMe, we always had to keep the fan on to try to cool the room down some more. And another con is, it seems like our child, even though he was only about 4 weeks, he just outgrew the SwaddleMe. On the front of SwaddleMe, it said it's for children's from birth to 2 months, but we couldn't even last 2 months. Now for this receiving blanket method, that was actually very useful too, because there's all sizes of receiving blankets. The receiving blanket we liked the most was actually the one we got from the hospital. From our baby shower, our friends gave us plenty of receiving blankets, those with a lot better material, softer, but we found that the hospital one was actually more useful, because the hospital one, it wasn't flannel, it was just cotton, traditional cotton, and it was not like the ultra soft cotton with any elasticity or anything. It looked like as if this receiving blanket will only last like a year or two. But we liked this because it was thin. It's easier to regulate our son's temperature if we just wrap him in layers. So for the first layer, we used the hospital receiving blanket, which is pretty thin. And if it's chilly or if it gets colder, then we start using the receiving blankets we purchased or our friends gave us during the baby shower. Now, overnight, we also like to make sure that we swaddle his hands in, because when his hands are out, he has no dexterity, so a lot of times he just hit himself in the nose when he's sleeping. His arms would just be swinging around, and he can just basically wake himself up if his hands are not swaddled by his side. If he's taking a nap, then we would just leave his hands the way they are, and he'll sleep for half an hour, and afterwards he'll wake up by himself. So both are good. A SwaddleMe, if your child can use that for some time, or if you can perhaps find another swaddling brand that has a thinner material, I would recommend it. Or at least have one ready so that at least you can use it until you have time to figure out how to swaddle your child yourself. And as for receiving blankets, it's always good to go with the larger receiving blankets. Some of the ones we had were like 20 by 20, and they were just too small. At first we thought, okay, is this a newborn? How big can they possibly be? But your child grows pretty fast. So our son Marcus was 19 inches, and now he's already 24 inches. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Please feel free to rate, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching Awkward Hamster. Bye.